What's up, Pop Culture Universe? We are back with another episode of the Bad Batch review. This is episode 5. The name of the episode is called Rampage. I'll be the host for this episode. My name is Bogz. I'm with my fellow co-host. Her name is Sol. Introduce yourself this way to the people, Sol.
I know each time it's a different. We're switching it up on you guys. Which side will we be on next time? Who knows? You'll have to continue to watch, but I'm excited. As always, to talk Star Wars with you, Bogz. Like I said before, you're my favorite person to talk Star Wars with. So let's do it.
Come on. So this is episode's called Rampage. We're getting about a third into the way into the series now. So this episode starts with Omega. She gets like a comms link that is where she can communicate with the other Bad Batch crew. In which, in fact, before we actually get into the episode, just give me your overall thoughts on the episode. I thought it was quite similar to the previous one, actually, where it was a bit like it felt like a video game stop off kind of adventure. Almost, I wouldn't necessarily say filler, but it was kind of along them lines. It wasn't a bad episode at all. I thought it was fairly fun. Some nice kind of tie-ins to other parts of the saga and stuff. But overall, I thought it was okay. Quite similar to the previous episode. What are your overall thoughts on the episode?
I would have to agree. It is very similar to the last episode. It feels like we are in that moment of the middle of seasons where let's stop at a planet and do something. Let's stop at another planet and do something. And there is still ties from the last. They're trying to figure out who Fennec Shan is. Why are they following them? So they're making a different pit stop. But it does kind of feel like playing a video game where it's just like, okay, I need to do all these things before I go and fight the big boss kind of thing. So I wonder how long we're going to go for this because it is a 16-episode season. So hopefully we're not in this, let's stop at a planet and do something for several episodes. But it's still interesting because it's Star Wars and it's still enjoyable. But it is not at the same heights that like the first 2 episodes were.
No, definitely not. So I think hopefully they do like 2 slower ones and then they kind of increase it again and then decrease the level of maybe tension or excitement or something. So we'll see. There is 14 episodes, I believe, anyway. So yeah, that's why we're approaching halfway soon. But anyway, it starts off. Omega gets her comms link, which kind of cements her in the crew now, kind of replacing Crosshair. It's actually Crosshair's comm link. So it's a way to her kind of, a mobile communication of the way she can kind of talk to everyone. And then Hunter explains that he knows an informant who used to kind of work alongside the Jedi to just kind of deliver them a certain amount of information and things like that. And then they can figure out who the assassin is who's trying to obtain or try to kind of kidnap Omega, which obviously we know as the audience is Fennec Shan, but they're trying to get some more kind of intel on her and see what's kind of the situation with her. They land on a planet called Ord Mantle. They enter a cantina and they ask for a character called Sid. Initially, no one knows who that is or who the informant, kind of who they look like or what the deal is there. They think they've got the wrong place. But Omega kind of, she's the one that establishes that, okay, this is you, right? You are that person. I didn't know if that was an indication maybe for sensitivity or some kind of, some kind of ultra, heightened
deductive reasoning.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah, they've all got kind of specific heightened features. So I think that might be maybe one of hers. I don't know. The character Sid obviously tells her that, or tells all the crew that the Jedi respected her and her services and her intel and her information. And now that she's, since the Republic has fell, the Empire is now affecting her as a business. So she's kind of, she's for hire almost and happy to help the kind of the Republic side or the sides that were kind of with the Jedi previously. So overall thoughts on the episode, Omega getting a comm link, the kind of Hunter establishing to go to look for, get some more intel on Fennec Shan and then landing on Ord Mantle and then meeting Sid and that whole kind of beginning scene on that planet.
Yeah, this is another episode without Crosshair, which like arguably is the more interesting part of some of the first 2 episodes. So it's kind of weird that we have a second episode where his presence isn't really felt much in it. but we do get a little bit of his presence because she is getting the comm link that used to be Crosshairs, now it's Omega's. So it's kind of playing off of that replacement title of like the previous episode of where Omega is kind of replacing Crosshair here with the Bad Batch. And it was cute too, the fact that like, no, she really is cementing her place with the team before she has her own room now that Wrecker made. Still on Wrecker watch. He's okay, guys. He's okay this episode, but still having those migraines, those head pains, but he's fine for right now. And let's just keep it that way, people. Let's keep it. And the fact too, like the interesting moment where you come in and it's like, where's Sid? I'm not going to say anything. And you're like, she's probably Sid. And all of them are just arguing together while like Omega's like, yeah, no, she's Sid. So I don't really, even though I do think she's force sensitive, I think it was more of a like, if you use common sense, that's the person we're looking for. And you bozos are over here trying to argue. And the fact too that they are going to someone who knows the Jedi, and we're getting that kind of the transition into the Empire. So before she got work because she worked with the Jedi. Now there's not really, to her knowledge, there's no more Jedi. There is still Jedi, but they're in hiding. So that completely changes her life. So that the changes in the day-to-day life of normal people from going from the Republic to the Empire, that's what really gets me in all of these episodes. And I'm glad that we're being able to see that. It's explaining how quickly the Empire came and that it was not so great for some people, because we saw the people cheering in the previous episode, like, yes, the war's over. But now we're seeing the effect of what it has on like regular people. Like, I had more of a job before and now it's affecting my work now. And so it's really interesting stuff that like I want to explore more of this, but you kind of get that swiped aside.
Yeah, and especially that the actual cantina was like not busy at all. I thought that was like a symbol of like she's suffering as a as an independent person who was previously reliant on the previous kind of tenure with the Republic and the Jedi and stuff. Now she no longer has that, so I thought that was interesting. And yeah, and the kind of cantina, I did notice there was a number of helmets there, like clone trooper helmets, being that they are clone troopers as well. And there was a few like Mandalorian helmets I noticed. So I just thought, I thought maybe she couldn't be trusted at first because they are clone troopers, and there's clone troopers helmets like as if they're being decapitated and like their heads are just there. So I thought, that was like an indicator that she can't be trusted. But we'll see. I mean, moving forward, they kind of established that. They're showing her a kind of hologram of Fennec Shan. Doesn't know who it was at first. She kind of promised them she would get more info if they complete the job for her. The job, and then kind of agreed to split of credits as well. So she would, they'd both
70-30.
Yeah. And the job was to save a kid or a child called Mushi, who's been taken in by some slavers. Omega had a few interesting dialogues as well, establishing who or what slavers are, and just funny that the way they're describing it, that it is people who kind of trade people for credit and things like that. So it's just funny that she didn't know that's how kind of isolated she's been from the world and stuff. And they head back to the ship where Wrecker is feeling the pain. Still 2 episodes earlier, he's having headaches and stuff. He's coming back, which further kind of I think that was just a reminder for, oh no, okay, he's still having these headaches. He's still going to come up in future episodes. So don't forget about him. And everyone pray for Wrecker. And then they arrive at the spot where where Mushi is. And they kind of fight for a little bit with the alien species is called Igerians, I believe. And then they're kind of captured. In the meantime, Sid speaks to Bib Fortuna. We don't know that at this point. It's just she's talking to a hologram. But obviously, like I could tell from his voice, because he voices by Matt Word, he voices General Grievous, a number of different characters, over the years and stuff. He voices Bib Fortuna in The Mandalorian as well, that final ending scene. Leading up to the Book of Boba Fett reveal, that's him as well. So yeah, he's quite a famous voice actor in Star Wars. So Sid also explains. Sid is also played by a lady called Rhea Perlman, who's in Cheers. She has a big role in Cheers, a recurring lead. She's the mother in Matilda as well. So she voices, because I instantly recognize the voice, and she's married to Danny DeVito. So there's had like she's like quite famous for a voice. So yeah, overall, so obviously leading up to, Wrecker's getting his headache. You've already commented on the whole slavers discussion. Looking for a child called Mushi. At first, obviously, we haven't seen Mushi at this point as well. And then, of course, seeing the hologram at first. I wonder if do you have any idea who it was? Could you tell by the voice, the look at all? Yeah, overall thoughts on these kind of scenes.
So the most interesting part of this section was the conversation about slavers and what Omega was asking. It's like, oh, you're trading credits for human beings. And Omega's really smart. And I think in that moment, she's realizing, oh, that's what the Kaminoans is doing. You're literally trading their clones, but they are human beings for credits. Before with the Republic, now with the Empire. So there is that discussion of slavery because they were created for a purpose. Are they slaves or do they have their own free will? Because if there is deserting and stuff of that nature, so if you're a deserter, that you look very bad upon, you're not considered in good faith with any governmental thing in real life or in Star Wars. So it's kind of that, like, I felt like that conversation was happening in her head there. Like, wait, is that what I was or these people were who I'm with? So I felt that was a very interesting moment there. And then, yeah, Bib Fortuna, I was just like, oh my God, we're getting Bib Fortuna. I was like, are we going to get Jabba the Hutt too? And it was that moment of like, oh, she doesn't have the Jedi anymore to work with. So she has to turn to the Hutts. And when you have to turn to the Hutts, nothing good ever happens. So I was waiting for like, okay, when's the bad stuff going to happen for her because she's working with the Hutts now.
Yeah, I thought that. Yeah, when is she going to turn on them? Because the Hutts are gangsters, basically the underground gangsters, and we see a bit more of that a bit later. But yeah, Echo kind of tells the Algerians, the slavers, that slavery is now outlawed by the Republic, and they've kind of accepted. Well, they've kind of confirmed that the Republic, we're no longer living in the Republic. So even for them, on the kind of outer kind of parts of the quite far away from the Republic, let's say, even they realized and have acknowledged that the Republic is now overthrown and the Empire is thriving at the minute. And then we see the character, or the baby, that is Mushi, and really it's a baby Rancor, which was really cool. And immediately I thought, hold on, we've just seen Bib Fortuna, the Rancor, they want the baby back. Is that the Rancor from Return of the Jedi?
Right.
I believe, I'm not 100% sure, but I believe, please put a comment in the chats and let us know. I believe the Rancor in Return of the Jedi does have a different name. So unless they change the name or that's a different one, who knows? But that was obviously watching it thinking, hey, is that the kid? Is that the baby that Luke kills?
Or it could be the kid of the Rancor that Luke kills. Who knows?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. And then Wrecker has kind of initially has to fight Mushi as well to try and maintain dominance, to kind of keep it under control. And then Omega kind of takes one of the crossbows of these Algerians have, which we've seen a kind of a few images of her previously. It is really cool looking as well. A bit like like what the Night Sisters have, and the same kind of weaponry. So I'm not sure if it was taken from there or anything along the lines, but it looks really similar to that stuff there. And then Bib Fortuna arrives at Sid's shop. We see him there. They have kind of interactions with the Bad Batch, and they bring through Misha as well. And then Omega's riding it as well. So again, brings through that, maybe is she force sensitive, that bond that she has, that force sensitive beings have. So yeah, before we get to the end of the episode, quick thoughts on seeing the Rancor and just the overall kind of situations happen there, and then Bib Fortuna turning up in person, seeing the Bad Batch and the crossbow.
Yeah. It was classic misdirect. You think it's a child, then it ends up being a Rancor.
Yeah, a giant monster.
Yeah. And both Wrecker and Omega make a bond with that Rancor, which I think is very important for the future, because if things do go bad with the Huts, if the Huts do end up capturing the Bad Batch or something, I think that having that bond with the Rancor in that moment is going to help them out. So that's my little like.
It's a
I'm
trope that
saving
Filoni
the,
does, right? The
yeah.
animals come back to save the people who are kind to them. Yeah, we've seen that
So I
before.
was like, I'm saving that here. Maybe we'll see that in the future. Maybe we won't. Who knows? Speculate responsibly. But that was one moment that I was just like, okay, there's a bond here. This is going to come back into play. And the fact, too, that you had Sid going, you should work for us. Goes, you need friends, you need credits. And then you have Hunter saying, we're a little low on both. And then she's like, okay, well, if you work for me, you'll have both. And he's like, I'll think about it. So that is an interesting thing, too. It's like, will we see Sid again? Will Hunter, it seems like Hunter's deciding, I'm not going to do this right now, but it's always an option in the future if we need credits, because they did get the 30% of the credits from that job. So let's see how long those credits last, especially since the Bad Batch doesn't know really how to haggle much. We saw that in the previous episode. Is this enough for you? Is this enough for you? Or that like selling bombs is not a thing you can sell at a regular market. Like these Bad Batch, they're soldiers. They're not regular people, so they're not going to know how to haggle, not going to know what things actually cost. So let's see how far those credits actually last them.
Yeah, and then as you said there, so once they kind of hand over Mishu, Sid tells Hunter, she kind of brings him to the side, explains that the assassin is Fennec Shand. She's new, but she's highly ranked and she learned that from the guild, which obviously we learn in the Mandalorian. We learn about that kind of the history about them, and it's a private commission as well. So I thought maybe it's a private commission. I kind of assumed that was the Kaminoans. They've assigned. I'm assuming maybe Boba Fett to kind of capture Omega, who's assigned Fennec Shand to obtain him. Because we've seen Jango Fett do it with that Sam Weasel in the past, then we've just seen a few kind of two, whether it's Bib Fortuna and Jabba the Hutt, they kind of, these underground people kind of work together to obtain, bounties or whatever the situation is. So I thought kind of that was a potential foresight. And then just this episode ends with Sid, as you just summarized it there. Sid explaining to Hunter, you must be, it's impressive that someone like Fennec Shand's caliber is after you guys. So it must be something of high, something important that she wants. And yeah, she kind of offered him more work in the future. And she explained that she's good at keeping secrets. And in effect, the episode ends. So before we get on predictions, what are your overall thoughts on the ending of the episode? You did cover some of it there, but just learning about the guild, about her, her contacts, and about the private commission, and any ideas where you think that's from, and overall thoughts on that, please.
We're hearing these Star Wars words.
Yeah.
They come in every once in a while, and you're like, ooh, I've heard that before. And now you're just trying to, in your mind, connect all the dots and see how they are connecting. And so I'm just excited to see how it's going to connect further in the future episodes. I think we're not done with seeing Sid. We're definitely not done with seeing Fennec Shand, because we may see Bib Fortuna again. I think we might see Jabba the Hutt or one of the Hutts in the future episodes. So I'm just excited to see how all of this is going to connect. I think we're seeing that Rancor again. So just because it is the, as you said, a Dave Filoni trope where the animal comes back to save the main character. So I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah, and talking about what happens, I'll give kind of just the final thoughts or predictions leading up to next week or future episodes. First of all, I thought the Rancor thing was probably the best part of the episode. Just because you've just seen Bib Fortuna, they've not revealed the Mishu character yet, Mushi character, sorry, and then they show it's a baby Rancor. You're like, oh, you're just doing the kind of math in your head, like, oh, is this before? Okay, so the animal's probably, the alien's grown, so it could have been the same one. So I thought that was a cool little tie-in. And then just overall, the way that Sid was speaking in terms of she used to help the Jedi, and then she's talking about the guild and talking about she's working with Bib Fortuna, underground gangsters, criminals. I thought, which Jedi would be working with her? And then I thought maybe was it someone like Dooku, someone who's kind of fluctuated from the kind of good and the bad, and working with separatists and stuff, or maybe Mace, someone who's not so fixed in the council. I just thought that was an interesting which Jedi who could be she could be working with, and overall, I thought maybe you couldn't trust her. In the episode, you kind of prove that you could trust her, but I think maybe overall when we see her again, maybe we can't. If she's clearly dealing with gangsters, bounty hunters, assassins, kind of dealings with the Jedi, this being an informant, so she might turn on them at some point when we see her again in the future. And then obviously this whole wrecker headache thing, so it seems like his inhabited chip is creeping in slowly, so obviously they don't want him to turn fully to enact an Order 66 and stuff. So I'm assuming to sort that out, they need to contact Rex, because he had a similar issue. They removed the chip. They need to find out how, because by the time we see Rex with the other clones in Star Wars Rebels, with Wolf and Gregor, they also seemingly don't have the inhabited chips as well. So hopefully we'll see all that kind of come to fruition, whether it's Wrecker and Rex, or Wolf and Gregor as well. So I think I'm going to head towards where Rex is and what's the deal with them. So potentially Ahsoka, who knows? So yeah, we'll see. So overall, and just to rank it, I'd give it something similar to last week. I'd say 7, maybe 6.5, something like that, because it was a little bit less action, but there was some kind of cool tie-ins to just start the overall saga in general in this episode. But not a bad episode by any means, but definitely just the one, plodding along the next adventure kind of thing of the week. So yeah, overall thoughts on predictions moving forward, and give a ranking if you want as well.
Yeah, Omega now has that crossbow that we saw in the trailers, and it seemed like the same episode where she's using the crossbow is an episode when they meet Rex. So hopefully that's coming soon, where she uses the crossbow, we see Rex, all of that, those answers come to fruition. So I hope we get Rex soon. Always hoping to see Rex. Always exciting to see him. Yep. And so I guess that's my prediction. Also, before what I've said before, is I think some of these characters we met this time or seen again in this episode, we'll see them again in the future. And I think comparing this episode to last week's episode, I would put last week's a little bit higher in my thought process of what I originally ranked it. So I think I would agree with you on this, that it would be 6.57 for this episode, because it's not a bad episode. I still heavily enjoyed, and I loved seeing Bib Fortuna, and seeing the Rancor stuff was really cute. But it's, again, that high that we had from the first episode where we're like, oh, this is the show we have. And the fact too that the interesting part of everything with Crosshair, we have 2 episodes where we haven't had any bit of Crosshair. I hope that we see some more Crosshair like next episode or the following episodes, because I don't think we can go another without having his story being told.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, like you said, he's one of the better characters in it, due to his kind of journey and development, and the whole Order 66 thing with the chips. So yeah, definitely we need him back. But overall, yeah, give us your thoughts, watching this. Please let me know personally if the Rancor is the same one that's in Return of the Jedi. I don't believe it is, but correct me, put the name of the actual Rancor in Return of the Jedi in the chat if anyone knows. But everyone, thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. We're loving the comments and all the videos that we've been dropping recently. So yeah, keep that up. But yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Bad Batch Review.